Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet. Voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by BASF, where you can count on the trusted performance of Allevo seed treatment to protect your soybean crop. And today's program also brought to you in part by the United Soybean Board, your soybean checkoff working for you. Powered by Soy Biodiesel. Hope you can join the Ohio AgNet and Heritage Cooperative for an FFA Day at the H-Plot. That's in Mechanicsburg. Follow Heritage Cooperative on social media for complete details. And next week on the 30th, we'll be at Washington Courthouse Farm Credit Mid-America for their monthly update. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by last week at the Farm Science Review and signing my guest retirement book. Lots of names in there, lots of great comments, so thanks for stopping by. The cattle and calves on feed for the slaughter market in the United States for feedlots with capacity of 1,000 head or more totaled 11.1 million on September 1. The inventory was 1% below September 1 of a year ago, and the report did come out on Friday. Placements into feedlots during August totaled 1.78 million head, 10% below a year ago. And the marketings of fed cattle during August totaled 1.57 million head, 14% below a year ago. Marketings were the lowest for August since the series began in 1996. DTN livestock analyst Shaylee Stewart said Friday, September 1's USDA cattle on feed report came out at the bullish end of the scale as placements only totaled 1,780,000 head during the month of August, down 10% from a year ago and down roughly 1% from what the average estimates were before the report. It was quite astonishing, she said, to look at the state-by-state breakdown of the placement data as the only two states that saw an increase year over year of placements from a month ago for August were Arizona up 20% and Washington up 14%, Stewart said. The report should be largely viewed as another bullish factor, highlighting the greater point, which is that the U.S. beef cow herd sits at a multi-decade low, and with the U.S. border still closed to Mexican cattle imports, the bottom line is that supplies are thin. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
We continue to see moisture working through the Buckeye State for a large part of this week. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at that Ohio Ag weather update. Instability in charge here today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. We are having to deal with the remains of a couple of fronts that are trying to push towards us. The first one coming through over the weekend. It was a dying front. We've got some residual moisture with that coming through later today and tomorrow. All the while, watching low pressure come together in the central and southern plains. It tries to kick out for the latter part of the week, Wednesday into Thursday and early Friday. I think that's where we could see some heavier rain potential. All in, all done. I'm still peppering most of the state with 1/2 to 2 inches of additional rain from now through Friday morning to midday. Coverage at 100% of the Buckeye State. The best chances for moderate to heavy rain will likely come overnight Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Once we get to Friday afternoon, we are done. Slightly cooler for the weekend, but we see sunshine dominating. Very pleasant overall. That pattern continues into early next week, Monday and into Tuesday the 30th, although the late afternoon and evening of the 30th, a minor trough sags through, ushering down some cooler Canadian air with high pressure for Wednesday the 1st, right on through the 4th and 5th. Going into the week of the 6th, we are continuing to stay dry, warming up just a little bit, but I don't look for any well-organized precipitation until at least midweek that week or later possibly. All the while, temperatures staying above normal, even as we cool down when the calendar flips into October. We're not looking at cold air at all. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan.
Joining me is Ryan LeGrand from the U.S. Grains and Bioproducts Council. Ryan, you had a recent name change to your organization. What caused that change and why are now including the bioproducts?
The U.S. Grains Council, formerly known and now as the U.S. Grains and Bioproducts Council, has been around for 65 years. We have been promoting for, I'd say, 20 years distillers' grains, and for the last 11, 12 years, ethanol, when traditionally we were promoting more of the feed grains, corn, barley, sorghum, and different uses for those. We wanted to incorporate into our name the products that are coming out of the American ethanol plants and what we're promoting overseas. These products, distillers grains, now the high pro distillers and ethanol are part of our identity in practice, but not in name. And so we really wanted to bring that in and make it clear to all stakeholders, external and internal, who we are and what we represent.
What should Ohio farmers know about the current landscape of U.S. trade, especially deals that impact corn, ethanol, and our ability to compete globally?
Of all the products that we market overseas, and with the exception of sorghum, things are going very well. This year, the crop year that just ended, August 31st, when the final numbers come out, we will have broken a record for corn exports all time, edging out the 2020-21 crop year. And important context on that, the last time we set a record just 4 or 5 years ago, China took 30% of that corn. This year, 0. They've taken one vessel. It's great to see that we're shipping more corn to traditional customers and new customers alike. We're going to do the same for ethanol. Again, the marketing year that just closed, we'll see over 2 billion gallons of ethanol exports.
And thank you, Brianna and Ryan LeGrand. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine and Ohio Department of Natural Resources Director Mary Mertz announced that the Ohio State Parks has been named as the best park system in the nation for providing excellent recreation programs and services. Ohio was awarded the 2025 National Gold Medal Award for Excellence in Park and Recreation Management from the American Academy for Park and Recreation Administration in partnership with the National Recreation and Park Association. Ohio earned the Gold Medal Award over fellow finalists Florida and Wyoming. The award represents ODNR's commitment to innovation, accessibility, and conservation. With free entry to all 76 state parks, Ohio offers more than 9,300 campsites, 1,200 miles of trails, 10 lodges, and over 7,100 educational programs annually. ODNR has always led the way in accessibility with adaptive kayak launches, inclusive playgrounds, and other creative programs. Congratulations, ODNR, for an outstanding park program. Back with more after this.
Biodiesel isn't just a fuel, it's a game changer for your engine, your wallet, and your farm. Cleaner burning and efficient, biodiesel enhances engine life, power, and fuel economy. Plus, it delivers real value, adding $1.33 to every bushel of soybeans grown. That's 13% more value per bushel, directly tied to the biofuels market. Ready to turn soybeans into power and drive with purpose? Learn how at soyohio.org.
Get the equipment and trucks you need at Ritchie Brothers' next Great Lakes Regional event on September 25th and 26th. This absolute unreserved auction will feature online bidding, and items are located in Columbus, Chicago, and Detroit. Choose from close to 4,000 items, including a wide selection of construction equipment, truck tractors, and more. Don't miss Ritchie Brothers' Great Lakes Regional event on September 25th and 26th. For more details, visit rbauction.com. Again, that's rbauction.com.
Joining me is Becky Gearing. She's the livestock judging coach, first ever from Wilmington College. Welcome to the broadcast. Tell us a little bit about your experience. How do you get to be selected to be a livestock judging coach? What's it take as a background to do that?
Well, thank you so much for having me. First off, I am so excited to be the first ever livestock judging coach for Wilmington College and get this program underway. A little bit about my background. I started off livestock judging for 4-H here in Warren County. Started when I was 10 years old, was hooked right from the beginning, had some successful runs winning at state fair at the junior and senior level. We had 3 national contests that we went to and was in the top 10 in all 3 of those. I was offered a full ride scholarship to Blackhawk College out in Kewanee, Illinois. Judged under Dan Hogue and Brian Arnold out there and had a great time. That's where I met my husband too. He's a livestock judging participant as well. Transferred out to Kansas State University and judged under Scott Shockey out there. Took a couple years off while we moved back to Illinois and started a family. And when we moved back here to Ohio back in July, my old livestock judging coach is still Warren County's livestock judging team coach. And he had over 20 kids and asked me if I'd be interested in helping out since he had so many kids interested still in the program. So I jumped on and spent 2 years helping assistant coach on that. Last year we qualified in the top 5 with our seniors and was qualified to go to Denver to the National Western Stock Show. We ended up 9th overall with a 5th overall high individual. And on that day I got my call saying that I was accepted as the position for Wilmington Livestock Judging's first ever coach. So
what will you see as the challenge when you start to work with college students who are obviously enrolling this to learn something, but maybe think they already know a good bit about it. And what kind of program will you try to put in place for them?
It was really interesting because I do have some kids that have, come from a crop background. We've never judged before. And I've got kids that have already been to nationals themselves before. So we've got quite the wide variety. And I really take the focus of, we're here to judge and evaluate livestock, but I really want to work on life skills. So how is this going to help you? We focus a lot on quick decision making, rational thinking, putting your priorities in the right place, and then our communication skills. Really making sure when we get into that reasons portions of our judging contest that we're really working hard on getting those point across and our thought processes lined up in an order that's easy to follow. And then I try to relate it back to the real world industry. We look at some show stuff, we look at some commercial stuff. What are we evaluating that's going to be different depending on the contest we're at? So there's a lot of differences there, but just trying to make it a real world application, no matter the background, no matter what their major is, no matter their future plans.
I like the idea that you gave that full description and never mentioned the word winning. Everybody's a winner. At some places, you become the top vote getter as the person who did the best job for the day. So
Yes.
we want people to be involved in all those aspects of life.
Absolutely.
A great way to be able to see the differences. Again, you're putting your idea of a preference against someone who's asked to be the judge that day.
Yes.
That doesn't mean you disagree on everything, but you saw that class slightly different, or could be. So
Yes, and I tell my students all the time, you and I might see this class different, but as long as we're talking what's your priorities for this class versus maybe my priorities for the class, you might be the one that's right at the end of the day, not me, and that's totally okay. That's part of having an opinion. This
And you
isn't
can talk about it.
And you can talk about it, absolutely. That's why I love the reasons portion. I'm so glad that that's part of our senior collegiate level contest. It's a huge part. It makes up a lot of our points. So having that conversation and teaching these skills at a college level that they are going to need no matter what career path they choose, they need to be able to defend their decision in life. So I think that's super important that we can have a good conversation and get our points across and still have different opinions at the end of the day if that's how it plays out.
Becky, the best website to still get in touch with everyone at Wilmington is wilmington.edu.
Yep, that's correct.
And you can get in touch with her or other representatives of the college at wilmington.edu. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company, excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. For marketing information on your beans to LDC, call 574-566-2113. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished weaker on Friday, and the market commentary, market calls as we move through the first part of this week aren't painting a super rosy picture either. Let's take a look at last Friday's action. Once again, not a lot to get super excited about on the corn side. We saw fractionally lower numbers across the spectrum. Beans were down anywhere from 10 to 12. Wheat down 1 to 2 in Chicago, down 2 to 3 in KC, and down about 3 to 4 cents in Minneapolis. The big story from last Friday was the fact that President Trump and Chinese President Xi chatted for over 2 hours on Friday morning into the midday hours, but it was mostly on TikTok's new majority U.S. ownership and other items that did not include agriculture. According to the Truth Social account from President Trump, the talk included trade, fentanyl, the Russian war against Ukraine. Trump and Xi did promise to meet on the sidelines of the APEC meeting in South Korea, but Trump also said he could potentially visit mainland China in early 2026. Xi may come here sooner, but it all was viewed by the market as nowhere near getting anywhere close to talking about ag and some kind of trade deal. Add to that the chatter that we heard late last week that was really focusing more and more about a Trump bailout or an administration bailout, agriculture funds going out. We heard in rumors anywhere from $50 to $100 an acre, and that also means that they don't feel they're going to be getting anything done super soon. Now, we are suspecting that the 2026 visit to China by Trump is the best chance to probably hear a reaching of a comprehensive trade deal that includes U.S. ag goods. China did delay a trade deal, and another 90-day extension of the existing tariffs will likely occur at or before the APEC meeting. That's what the stories were on Friday. As we take a look at other stories out there, the soybean market is going to be closely following where the 50-day moving average is and if it can hold at the 1025 level. That's where we closed last Friday. Well, just above it at 1025.5. If you break that key support, that will lead to additional fund-related selling pressure. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Overnight, at the open, December corn up 1/4 cent at $4.24 1/4. March still unchanged at $4.41 1/4. November beans down 2 3/4 at $10.22 3/4. January down 2 1/2 at $10.42 1/4 cent. December wheat down 1 1/2 at $5.21. October cattle on Friday up $1.20 at $233.57. October lean hogs up 50 cents at $97.97. And October feeder cattle up $2.37 at $354.10. This is the Ohio AgNet.